If you thought that the triangular guide that's been plastered on classroom walls and cereal boxes telling us what to eat and in what quantities, if you thought that was the gospel truth of nutrition, then you might want to check again. Because the food pyramid is a lie, not as helpful as we've been made to believe. In fact, it could even be considered a scam.
I've never recovered from finding out that the food pyramid was a scam.
Yeah.
That was just the degree to which that's a scam is, I don't know, is there a worse medical crime in history than that?
No, I mean, telling Americans to load up on 7 to 11 servings of grains every single day.
Yeah. And to find out that that was a marketing ploy by the Department of Agriculture. And
arguably one of the biggest medical crimes of our time, honestly. To think that our trusted medical scientists and doctors, the ones we put our faith in, our trust in, the ones we pay to have our health be #1 priority, to think that they will take bribes from dirty corporations, to lie and say that 7 to 11 servings of bread a day is mandatory for a nutritious diet, or to endorse sugary cereal as a balanced and ideal breakfast, and no one went to jail? And we just believed that shit. Didn't think twice about it. Just took it as fact. Seriously.
Primetime's broken open the biggest scandal since Watergate. Bigger than Benghazi, bigger than Obamagate even, bigger than the Fauci funding the Chinese lab that killed thousands of Americans. It's the food pyramid, which turns out is a pyramid scheme. Big Food has been buying off scientists to study some of their unhealthiest products and recommend them as a crucial part of a healthy diet.
The truth behind these dietary guidelines is darker than you might think. So today, we're going to be looking into the truth of how big food corporations bribed officials and manipulated science to shape what we eat, how we eat, and when, all to increase their company's profits at the cost of our lives. So my name's Michael. Thanks for pulling up today, guys. And let's get started.
We're giving you a slice of nostalgia heading into the weekend. Back in the 1990s, when considering a healthy diet, one image was burned into our brains.
Yet that food pyramid was the go-to source for clean eating. But what happened to it? Philip Townsend takes us back to 1992 to see why the food pyramid ended up doing more harm than good.
Foods which continue to be demonized.
Even by the American Diabetic. So is it Association Society? I don't remember
the
which
ADA,
one
yes.
is still pushing the notion that, diabetics can eat carbohydrates. Like, actually, I don't think so. I don't think that's a very good idea since they're converted to sugar.
The food pyramid was introduced by the United States Department of Agriculture in 1992 as a visual guide to help Americans make healthier dietary choices. The pyramid was designed to provide a simple, easily understood representation of what a balanced diet should look like. Consisting of 6 food groups arranged in horizontal layers, each representing a different category of foods, with fats at the top, stating that you should use sparingly. Meats is next at 2 to 3 servings a day, then fruits at 2 to 4. And guess what's the most recommended? Just guess. Bread, cereal, rice and pasta. Recommended daily dose at 6 to 11 servings a day. Can you imagine being told to eat 6 to 11 slices of bread a day by your medical provider? This is killing people. This is what's making everyone sick. They sold us the lie of processed grains and bread to be our main portioned meal of the day. This mess was based on the USDA's earlier dietary guidelines, which aimed to promote overall health and reduce the risk of chronic diseases. So even before the food pyramid, the USDA already had dietary guidelines for American citizens, and those were being manipulated back then as well. So it's not just the food pyramid. In the 1960s, the Sugar Research Foundation now known as the Sugar Association, paid Harvard scientists to downplay the link between sugar and heart disease, so they can shift the blame to fats and meats, which is the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do. And they managed to convince the rest of us that eating cereal and milk will help with our high blood pressure and cholesterol, even though cereal and milk was causing these ailments in the first place. Cheerios is the first that came to mind when it comes to a prime example of marketing cereal for heart health, when it's the processed sugar and processed grains in it that's killing the heart in the first place. And these scientists received what would be the equivalent of hundreds of thousands of dollars today, with their biased research shaping dietary guidelines for decades to come. And they call themselves scientists. Not even $1 million they got, and they were easily able to be bribed into committing fraud on the American people by falsifying data?
Primetime's broken open the biggest scandal since Watergate. Bigger than Benghazi, bigger than Obamagate even, bigger than the Fauci funding the Chinese lab that killed thousands of Americans. It's the food pyramid, which turns out is a pyramid scheme. Big Food has been buying off scientists to study some of their unhealthiest products and recommend them as a crucial part of a healthy diet. So now, we have a brand new food pyramid where frosted mini wheats are healthier than grilled chicken. I swear. It claims that foods we thought were healthy, like meat and eggs, are terrible for us, and recommends replacing them with junk food manufactured by America's largest food conglomerates. See where this is going? According to these new recommendations, we should moderate our consumption of eggs, cheese, ground beef, and rice, and replace them with foods that are more profitable for the food industry.
Coca-Cola, a giant in the beverage industry, has also been implicated. This company spent millions on research to downplay the role of sugary drinks in obesity and promote exercise instead. These fools even funded the Global Energy Balance Network, which pushed the idea that physical activity mattered way more than diet for weight control. So they pushed one lie to cover up another one. When it comes to health, nothing can replace a healthy diet. And they promoted that exercising with a soda or sugary drink afterwards is ideal. Big-time cereal manufacturers like General Mills and Kellogg's had a vested interest in promoting grains. They heavily lobbied the USDA to ensure their products were at the base of the food pyramid, with the most recommended servings per day. Donations and funding to influential nutrition research institutions ensured favorable recommendations. In the early 2000s, congressional hearings revealed the extent of the food industry's influence on dietary guidelines. These hearings expose how industry-funded research often produced results favorable to their sponsors, leading to guidelines that benefited the food industry at the expense of public health. They learned of the bribes and other malpractices by the food industry to influence the American dietary guidelines. And the result? A public health crisis. This emphasis on high carb, low fat, low meat diets contributed to the rising rates of obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. Americans were consuming more processed foods and sugary drinks, leading to severe health consequences. When it comes to the leading causes of deaths with Americans, damn near all of them are diet related, with things like heart cancer, strokes, diabetes, and heart disease leading the cause of deaths. Diets high in saturated fats, trans fats, and cholesterol contribute to heart diseases. And these companies like McDonald's and Coca-Cola have been criticized for promoting unhealthy diets just rich in these harmful ingredients. And Alzheimer's disease, which was often seen as purely genetic, is now being linked to your diet. I never even heard of this. Emerging research suggests that high sugar intake and unhealthy fats contribute significantly to brain inflammation and cognitive decline. Like in recent times, Studies have shed light on how diet impacts the brain health. For instance, a study published in the journal JAMA Neurology in 2017 found that high blood sugar levels, even without diabetes, were associated with an increased risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. Why haven't I heard of this breakthrough? That excess sugar can damage enzymes that are involved with inflammation response and insulin regulation, and both of these are linked to Alzheimer's? It seems that a lot of these diseases, especially these more recent ones in our history, are directly linked to processed foods and sugars. And this was plastered all over our elementary school hallways and lunchrooms?
I've never recovered from finding out that the food pyramid was a scam.
Yeah.
That was just the degree to which that's a scam is, I don't know, is there a worse medical crime in history than that?
No, I mean, telling Americans to load up on 7 to 11 servings of grains every single day.
Yeah. And to find out that that was a marketing ploy by the Department of Agriculture and that
we were offered the much vaunted food pyramid, telling us to eat 6 to 11 servings of grains and carbohydrates a day, with protein and fat at the pinnacle, something to be indulged in with comparative rarity, if indeed necessary at all. The food pyramid was brought into being not least by the US Department of Agriculture, that is, by marketers, not scientists or nutritionists, with no shortage whatsoever of lobby efforts by those whose products ended up being promoted.
When are we going to stop feeding this mess to our kids? Why weren't these companies dismantled and shut down after discovering this misinformation to the public to single-handedly cause the death rates of Americans to rise just for your bottom line, for your profits? And even in developing countries, the influence of these major food corporations is ridiculous. They're pulling the same exact nonsense over there now too. Take Nestle, for example. This global giant has been accused of aggressively marketing their products like Nesquik to children in countries such as Malaysia. They're really out here lobbying to the local politicians to promote these sugary cereals and chocolate milk as healthier options compared to the nation's more traditional breakfast that they've been consuming for centuries.
Picking up a popular breakfast dish here in Malaysia, it's called nasi lemak. Fragrant rice cooked in coconut milk, to which you add a variety of dishes. Here we'll go with a piece of beef.
Traditional breakfasts like nasi lemak, which consists of rice cooked in coconut milk, served with sambal, anchovies, and peanuts. These are now being overshadowed by Western processed foods. Nestle's marketing campaigns, backed by significant lobbying efforts, had aimed to convince the youth that these sugary foods are not only tastier, but healthier as well. And Nestle didn't mess around either. In 2018, it was reported that they spent millions on marketing campaigns in Southeast Asia, targeting young children and their parents. And ever since then, childhood obesity rates have tripled in the past decade in Malaysia. And that's according to the Malaysian Ministry of Health. The consumption of sugary cereals and chocolate milk has been linked to rising obesity rates in this region.
The Cha-Chas and Charlestons cloak an alarming phenomenon. The Malaysian waistline is rapidly expanding. 14% of the adult population is obese, a figure that's tripled in just 10 years.
These companies are finding more and more nations to dig their greedy ass claws into. Like, take Mexico, for example, a country where the consumption of Coca-Cola and Pepsi has become a staple in their day-to-day diet. And I'm not exaggerating with that either. In many parts of Mexico, these soft drinks are consumed more frequently than water, which has led to severe public health issues.
Lunchtime for many in Mexico means this and this. Mexicans drink more fizzy beverages than almost anywhere else in the world. The country's also #1 in child obesity. All of that has led to rocketing diabetes in the nation's young, many of them in working class families like the Atriscos, who struggle to afford the healthy food and medical kit to control the illness.
One quick example would be like in the town of San Juan Chamula in Chiapas. It is reported that the average person there drinks more than 2 liters of Coca-Cola a day. And what do we have here? This phenomenon is partly due to Coca-Cola's deep-rooted presence and aggressive marketing strategies from the years that it has been there already. Same process as before, lobbying government officials to push unhealthy and processed goods onto their population. It's insane to read these stats. But Mexico has one of the highest per capita consumption rates of soft drinks in the world. In 2013, the average Mexican consumed 163 liters of soda per year, which is almost double the average consumption in the United States, which led the country into a public health crisis. Mexico has one of the highest obesity rates in the world, with some statistics stating over 70% of the adult population being overweight or obese. Additionally, diabetes has become a leading cause of death in the country as well. According to a 2019 study, sugary beverages are linked to nearly 184,000 deaths yearly, worldwide, including heart disease, along with diabetes. Now, I have to ask, if everywhere you go in the world, where you sell your product, and then that product becomes the leading cause of death in the area's population, how is this no different than selling poison wherever you go, or selling weapons? Because the politicians are getting paid to say otherwise, and the government can be bought? That makes it okay? You can literally sell poison to a population of people with government approval? As long as I pay them and make the poison taste good, I guess, huh? Man, our diets have been manipulated by powerful corporations for far too long. It's time to question who shapes our dietary guidelines and why. The influence of big food corporations on our diets has had devastating effects on the public health. We have to start demanding transparency and integrity in nutritional science to ensure our health is not compromised by greedy corporate interests. And we can all honestly say that we expected this type of stunt for profits from these giant corporations. That's not surprising. I'm just more surprised that these companies face no real legal repercussions for paying off medical doctors and scientists to lie to the general public and cause a health epidemic. This is a prime example that not all medical professionals have your best interest in mind. Thanks for watching, everybody. Leave a comment down below on your thoughts, especially on the food pyramid. I want to know if any of you guys are still following that. But leave a comment below with your thoughts. Let me know what I should cover next as well. I'm signing off, everyone. My name's Michael, and be safe, everyone.